Malcolm Davis is a senior analyst in defence strategy and capability at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, and he joins us now. Thank you very much for your time. Firstly, I'll just ask for your assessment of what you believe is underway right now.
Look, this is the beginning of a full-scale invasion. It's not a special military operation, as President Putin is calling it. It's war. So we need to call it that. It's a full-scale military invasion with the objective being to remove the government in Kyiv, to dismember Ukraine as a nation state, and to impose a Russia-friendly government in Ukraine. So this is essentially Putin seeking to alter territorial boundaries through brute force. And such behaviour is unacceptable in the modern era.
President Putin on Russian TV said he does not plan to occupy Ukrainian territory. What did you make of that statement?
That's nonsense. If he seeks to, as he put it, denazify Ukraine, which is a very emotive term, then the only way he can do that is to occupy Ukraine. And the type of forces that he has deployed, the massive forces, upwards of 200,000 personnel, massive armour, infantry, artillery, is all designed to occupy Ukraine. So please do not give any credence to what Putin has to say.
Philip Williams has a question to Malcolm.
Malcolm, is given that the Americans and the Western Europe said from the beginning, we will not intervene militarily, was there any other likely outcome other than what's happened today?
Look, I think there wasn't. I think Putin has exploited that. Putin has understood that NATO would be loath to get involved directly because of all the escalatory possibilities through to use of nuclear weapons. And it's very interesting in his statement that Putin made a fairly explicit threat to NATO that if they did choose to intervene, then Russia would respond with devastating force, including types of forces that they had not encountered before. I take that to mean that the implicit threat of the use of nuclear weapons by Russia against NATO. So Putin is laying it all out here. He's making it very clear that he expects NATO to stand back and allow him to occupy and dismember Ukraine. And if they try to intervene, then we're in for a much more serious conflict.
Malcolm Davis, could we talk for a moment more about Russia's current force posture? You talked about the hundreds of thousands of troops stationed near the border. What about Russia's military warships and their capability? Where are they right now?
Well, as we speak, Russian forces are moving into Odessa from the sea. You are seeing an amphibious operation into Odessa on the south coast. And we've already seen artillery attacks on Mariupol in the south. You've got a very large Russian naval force in the Black Sea and also in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, in very close proximity to a NATO naval force. So that's a dangerous situation in and itself. But certainly the Russian naval forces are concentrated in such a manner as to support the amphibious operations that are now occurring around Odessa.
There's talk, Malcolm, of demilitarisation from the Russian side of Ukraine. Effectively, that means the dismembering of the Ukrainian military, the absolute destruction, in a sense, of the Ukrainian government. Can we interpret this as anything other than a total assault on that country?
No, it is full-scale war. It's a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And I do not think it is correct to essentially give any credence to President Putin's use of terminology of some sort of special military operation. That's doublespeak. Let's call it what it is. It's war. And I think that it's vital that we hold President Putin to account rather than giving him the benefit of the doubt. And I think it's critical that we identify the fact that the types of forces and the scale of the forces that he has put in place and that he is now using with brutal efficiency is all about dismembering Ukraine and removing the regime and overthrowing a democratic government in Europe through brute military force.
How can President Putin be held to account?
He can't, is the brutally honest truth. We can impose sanctions against him that will generate some pain, but he's created a huge financial reserve of around about $680 billion that he hopes will allow him to ride out those sanctions. He's also got agreements with China that may enable the Chinese to buy oil and natural gas from Russia that could also weaken the effect of sanctions. So it's very difficult to hold him to account. And that is the reason he's doing this, because we're not prepared to actually use force and risk nuclear war. He's exploiting that as a vulnerability on our part to use force on his account.
Malcolm Davis, a senior analyst in defence strategy and capability at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. Terrific to have you. Thank you for standing by for us this afternoon.
Thank you.